Hey everybody, it's Tuesday and it's time for this week's edition of De-JOE-tional. Starting to catch on, isn't it? Many of you may know this, some of you may not. Susan and I went out to California this past weekend and saw our son Brad, and our son Matt flew out and joined us. So we had a great time visiting with them. Got to do all kinds of cool sightseeing things. We got to dip our toes in the Pacific Ocean for the first time ever. We went to Alcatraz. I recommend going there. I don't recommend being incarcerated there. No, I don't do that anymore. But it's a very cool thing. We had a great time. We got to see a couple very cool soccer games from the Cal Berkeley women's soccer team. And we also got to see Brad coach a couple of his U9 girls teams. So we had a lot of fun. I tell you all that because we were not at worship, as some of you may know, and we were not at GPS this week. So, and thank you, Pastor Jay, for filling in at GPS, and for Mike Bray for going and helping out. Appreciate that. So we didn't do part 2 of the Mr. Rogers effect this week. So I will catch back up with that next week. But this week I'm going to talk about something that I've talked about many times. I preached about it back in July. And that's change. I've written about it many times. And the thing about change is it's always changing. See what I did there? Change is changing. And it hit me over the weekend, the adventures that our kids are on right now. You guys all know I've told everybody ad nauseum about what they're doing. But dude, of course, you guys all know, is at Mizzou. Natalie is nursing up in Chicago Children's Hospital, and Matt is in Denver, and Brad is out in California. And those are all cool things. And when we were all together back in June in Florida, I asked them if they're all moving far away because they're trying to get away from us, or if we've given them the courage to take on these adventures. And they all said, well, we gave them the courage, of course. We're awesome people, right, Sue? Yeah. Yep. So they weren't trying to get away from us. We gave them the courage to take on these new adventures. And we're glad they are, because, man, like I said, those are cool places to see. Well, Chicago is whatever. But we love going to those places and visiting with them. We never did that. Susan and I grew up in this area. We went to Eastern Illinois together for 4 years, and then we came right back to where we grew up, and we've been here our whole lives. Her parents, until they passed away, just lived a couple miles that direction. My parents live a couple miles that direction. It's all the same, right? So we applaud our kids, and we love that our kids have decided to take on these adventures. But again, they did that because we gave them the courage to do that. Now here at Godfrey First, what I wanted to talk about was our Extreme Church Makeover for a few minutes. Pastor Jay and Barb and I met again this morning. I worked on it over the weekend while we were gone. And I want to address just a couple of issues with that. First of all, the word extreme. I took that from a TV show. There was a show called Extreme Church Makeover, so I just stole the name. We're not doing anything extreme. There was Extreme Church Makeover. Yeah. There was Extreme Home Makeover, and then there was Extreme Church Makeover. Yeah. So, thank you, dear. There's nothing extreme going on. So, everybody relax on the extreme part of it. But what we are doing is just trying to change the staleness of it. You know, during the pandemic, when we were all at home, or worshiping in small groups, or worshiping online, or doing stuff, things just kind of sat. And then we came back, and I love being back, but it's the same old, right? There's a lot of people that have expressed that. It's not just me. A lot of people have expressed that. So we're trying to make a few changes. Hey, Sue, can you bring me my phone, please? So there's a quote I want to bring that. It's on my phone. I don't want to stop the video. So we're just trying to make some subtle changes. Now, there's a couple changes that we've already made. We rearranged the front of the sanctuary. Thank you, my love. We rearranged the front of the sanctuary, and I think it looks great. We have the lectern on one side, and we have the podium on the other side, so we can. Now I'm hunting for words. I can't think of the right words. Anyway, we have communion table in the middle that'll eventually be replaced by an altar. You all had communion this past weekend while we were gone. I thought the communion table on the floor looked amazing. Thank you, Don Basil, for sending me pictures of that. I thought it was very cool looking. Sorry that we missed that. But let me find this quote real quick, and I'm going to share it. Doesn't this make great video? You watching me surf on my phone? Crying out loud. So, y'all familiar with the art project, the mural downtown, right? The circle thing outside of Hayner Library, and that circle that the artist did. So there's people, of course, all over town. Alton should be focusing on other stuff, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. That's not what that money was intended for. The money it was a grant, a beautification grant that was given just for that purpose. So tax dollars weren't our tax dollars. I live in Alton. Our tax dollars weren't spent on it, nothing. They wanted to use their money for that specific purpose. And people talk about the daunting problems that we have in this town. And here's the quote that a person on this Facebook feed answered to that. Any lasting solution must include changing the environment in which it existed. So any lasting solution must include changing the environment in which it existed. I love that. I think it's great because we have some changes coming up within the denomination, within our church, possibly. Because of COVID, with the way we worship, there are changes that have happened, changes that are going to continue to happen. But we can't be making those changes in the same stale environment. If we want to make overall changes, we need to change the environment in which those old things existed. We've seen countless examples of athletes who seem to struggle for a particular team. Cardinals have a ton of examples. Players, Rosarena, who struggled with the Cardinals, struggled to come get through the Cardinals, and then gets traded to the Rays, and all of a sudden becomes an MVP caliber and MVP of the World Series or whatever else he was. I mean, he was lights out. He needed a change of scenery, needed a change of pace. Some people have gone to other churches for that change of scenery and change of pace, and that's fine. But we need to embrace the idea that we need to make some subtle changes to our space. I told the Extreme Church Makeover the last time we met that the main reason why I chose now to do this was because we needed to get something to get excited about. We need to get a cause that we can all rally behind. We need something that we can support and cheer on and look forward to. Once we get that stuff done, then we can hopefully get excited about the mission we have to bring people to Christ and Christ to people. Hopefully this will catapult us to start new ministries and catapult new ideas and new things we can offer, not only to our members, but to our community. We have several ideas for the community, but we got to get everybody on board first. We got to get everybody excited. We got to get everybody rowing in the same direction. Remember that example we used a few weeks ago about everybody rowing the boat in the same direction? If we have 8 people in a boat and all 8 people are rowing the same way in the same direction, you're going to get to your destination in no time. But if you have maybe 2 people rowing this way and then maybe a couple people just kind of gradually doing it and maybe a couple people sitting around, you're not going to get anywhere. You might even start turning circles. And then what happens? What happens? The more people stop rowing, the slower you go. Until eventually, the people that are doing all the rowing are going to stop rowing too. We need to get everybody behind these ministries. We need to get everybody behind what Godfrey First is about. We need to get everybody behind bringing people to Christ and Christ to people. We can use the Ignite theme if you like. Take your flame, ignite the world. Speaking of that, when we were in California, we talked quite a bit about the wildfires. And it's the same thing. One little spark sets off a huge wildfire. We've got to be this spark. So our goal for this church makeover is to light some fires, get some sparks going, get some things going so we can all get excited. So there's going to be some changes. And I know there are people think we should do some things before we do this and blah, blah. I get it. We're going to make these changes and we're going to make them responsibly. I want to make that point. We're going to make them responsibly. And we're going to make them with your help. This is not Joe and Pastor Jay and Barb and whoever else is on this committee. It's not us. It's got to be Godfrey First doing this. So I hope that just as we gave our kids the courage to take on these new adventures in life, that God has given us the courage to take on the new adventures here at Godfrey First. We can't just do this ourselves. We absolutely need to pray about it. We absolutely need everybody to be on board with it. And we need to do what God has called us to do at 1100 Airport Road. So that is my De-JOE-tional for this week. I'll get back to the Mr. Rogers effect next week. But until then, blessings, Godfrey First. We'll see you.